So, yes, is this on? Yes, cool. Okay, so I'm just talking a little bit about the final animated clip that we did. We ended up choosing, Primal, Mutant, Gorilla, whatever. Just talking about the instruments at the moment. So, for the main part, the main soundtrack consisted of this angry kalimba, cowbell, bass, and a kick drum. It was very simple. So the angry kalimba was that kind of very harsh sound that kind of created. It was very dissonant in itself. Like it was almost like it was a chord, like a very dissonant chord in the note itself, which creates that kind of tension and that kind of atmosphere to the scene that we were trying to create, which was kind of like a fight scene slash, very tribal, Neolithic, Neanderthal, kind of, very long time ago, all that kind of stuff. Kind of create that kind of unease, unease, I don't know. And then we added the cowbell, which was mostly just personal choice because we decided, me and Ethan, that we wanted cowbell. And it just kind of, adds to that kind of kalimba sound, to be honest. It's a very dissonant sound. It's always something, you always hear a cowbell when there's a cowbell, which is why I thought it was quite useful. We did have the idea of making it more like a funk, that kind of Memphis rap style with the cowbell, which is why the cowbell was used initially, but then we never really developed it into that, and it just kind of became one of the instruments that we used. It was also then the recording for the cowbell, the MIDI roll, was then duplicated and then put onto another channel with a wet meat slap. Not the kind of wet meat slap you're thinking of, but like actual slapping meat from YouTube. I just thought it was like, impact sound or something. It just kind of might be useful. It doesn't sound great, I'll be totally honest, but it sounds better than the cowbell on its own, definitely. And then finally, we've got the basses. So we ran two basses, one being a bit more of a high-end transient bass, so it kind of had a bit more of a initial sound, a bit more of a high-end sound, whereas the second bass, which was the 808 pulse bass kind of thing, just had a very low end, but it didn't have much sub, it didn't feel like. It definitely had sub. You can look on the EQ to see it had sub, but coming through the headphones, it didn't seem like it had a lot of bass, which may be just because my headphones don't have the ability to produce sub frequencies, which is fine. But then we put those two together. Then what we also did was a side chain to the kick for one of the bass, for the solid sub bass. That kick was a TL707 kick, my favourite kind of kick. And I just thought it would add some kind of, pumping pulse to the drama of the scene. And I think it has. I think it's really glued it all together. And it's made the bass a very prominent instrument, but something that can kind of sit in the background at the same time and just keep driving forward, which I think is why it's so useful. Okay, and then for the actual Foley for the animal sounds, it was a accumulation of about 5 different people in this room, in the room back there. So initially it was just me and Ethan just making sounds into this microphone, which was very fun. But then J-Maz came in and did the Monkey Priest of his own accord. And that was very good. He did a very cool diminuendo as the Monkey Priest was thrown off the ledge and went down as if it was falling down, which was very cool. And then we just had a lot of people making monkey noises for the monkey chorus, which was quite comedic to other people in the class. And then for the main 2 characters, so you have that gorilla and then the Neanderthal human. I did the Neanderthal human for the most part, just mostly the impact noises and the groans and the scream and the shouts when it was going and then Casey did the gorilla because he could kind of fry scream and had a lot more bass, a lot more low end, So yeah, um, it was definitely a very collaborative project, which I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed being able to bring people who would not normally be working with me just because of the, you know, the way that it's worked on this course, the way that we're seated and everything. It's been really good to, you know, bring other people in. It also helps with my creativity and helps with um, what I can do to the track, because it's providing me with stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do myself and wouldn't have thought of doing myself, which has honestly made this track a very exciting and quite like funny soundtrack. I don't know if yeah, it's definitely funny. It's ridiculous and it's kind of childish, but I think overall it works quite well.